Venture capital is at its best when it's being used to grow top line revenue and secure competitive moats for its portfolio companies. But this is only a small portion of what it takes to build an enduring company. So let's take a moment and talk about the other forms of capital that a startup founder needs to know about in order to build an important company. The first we'll talk about is bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is when you use your own personal savings or customer revenue without outside investment. This might feel like no capital at all, but it's typically used during periods of slower growth, at the earliest stages of a company. It typically has a higher personal risk, but has no dilution. Often this is used when the founding team is at the beginning and evaluating ideas. The next form of capital we'll talk about is called angel investing. Angel investors are similar to venture capitalists, but typically on a smaller scale. Angels are typically wealthy individuals who invest at the earliest stages of teams when the team has a compelling idea without much traction to back it up. Because these investors are using their own money, they can invest at earlier stages that are too high of risk for institutional venture capital firms to underwrite. The next one we'll talk about is actually one of the oldest forms of capital, called a bank loan, where the borrower or the founder would borrow money that must be repaid with interest. While there's no dilution to the founder or the owners of the company, you do have to repay the principal and the interest. These loans are typically much smaller relative to the size of the company than other forms of financing, but they can be a powerful tool when used in combination with other financing types to reduce the overall cost of capital, especially as a startup begins to accumulate significant revenue. Next, let's talk about grants and subsidies. These don't need to be repaid and are amazing because they're non-dilutive. However, they're hard to get sometimes, and they can take a long time to obtain, often over a year from application to finally receiving the funds. This makes them unsuitable for many high-growth stage startups. Many founders seek these out as sources of capital at the earliest stages when they are building core science for their eventual companies. This is really common in a university setting. Next, let's talk about crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, you raise really small amounts of money from many people to put together a round. These people will give you money in exchange for either equity or often other types of rewards. This form of fundraising is most common with consumer goods companies, typically at their earliest stage. I hope this helps you better understand the forms of capital that are available to a company throughout its life cycle. While these aren't all of them, I hope you understand a bit more about what's available. And when you look at a company, investment's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. And many companies need to blend a few types of financing as they grow so that they can build a healthy and vibrant ecosystem.